many capacities, except our oil capacities in the oil sector. We can boost our exports, and in fact these exports are quite advantageous for us today. Through non-oil exports we'll be able to run this country, and this is a major step forward. The second point is that regarding the global market, we are exporting our oil, and in fact there's another major event unfolding, and that is in fact separating the national budget from the oil revenue. Regarding the domestic production, in the earliest stages we ran into certain difficulties, and prior to the sanctions we were a major importer of oil products. We imported more than $10 billion of petrol every year, and also the jet fuel and so on. But after the sanctions, I can tell you, based on precise data and figures, that today we have turned into a major exporter. We export jet fuel, and also we produce petrol in accordance with our national requirements. They said that they're going to impose sanctions and deprive us of petrol, but you see, we managed to develop our refineries, and we have no need to import such a product, and we even export it. I told the OPEC members in a trip that, and said that sanctions were good because we have turned into an exporter. If you see, there are so many customers for crude oil, and there are our neighboring states, and there's a major market in the region, and we have no problem for exporting the products. We managed to expand our refineries, and in fact the production volume of the refineries have been expanded, and in fact also we managed to boost the quality of the products produced by refineries, and they have in fact attained Euro 4 and Euro 5 standards, and very soon we will become an exporter of petrol, and we have the refinery in Bandar Abbas, and in fact we have gas condensates there, and 35 million liters of the country's petrol will be produced, and in fact we can also have considerable export of petrol. We have made up necessary planning, and in fact we can turn just selling crude into value added. So this process has been accelerated due to the sanctions. Regarding development in the oil industry, I can tell you that we had certain dependencies for importing certain products for 100 years, and it was difficult to have access to these products, and in fact the foreign countries were present. They brought the commodities themselves. After the sanctions, what did we have to do? In fact, we had to take up certain actions, and we had to actually do the manufacturing process, accomplish the manufacturing process. We have great deal of capabilities, and also the Iranians are intelligent and smart people. We have very good academic and research centers, and also very capable manufacturing companies and contractors are present in this country, and therefore we in fact supported domestic production, and today we have no foreign contractor in this country. And since 2 years ago, we have signed new contracts for over 20 new 20 oil and gas fields, and it was a difficult task. We had to prepare the organizations for the contractors for major projects, and we had to develop them. This, in fact, we had to support two fronts. We had to create the capacities for construction work, and this is an international capacity. Every one of these oil projects is considered as a mega project, and similar to major projects, giant projects such as Total and Shell and so on. Today I can tell you with certainty that many of these contractors have totally replaced Total and Shell. And I wish we had the time to put on display their performance in South Pars gas field to see what we have done there. So as far as development is concerned, we are moving in the direction so that even we have made the planning even for the commodities that we import. We have made the planning. For example, one of the complicated machines that are used in the oil sector, we know when these machines will be locally produced, and in fact we have made preparations for the research centers, and we have set the date when that particular machine will be produced, manufactured domestically. So there's precise planning in order to just become totally independent, and at that time the oil industry will be fully nationalized, and that it will be in the very near future.
Well, that's very good news. And just quickly, so I can make sure that we're understanding this in layman terms, this sanction, which was led by the U.S., helped the domestically for example, technically Iran to be able to expand their indigenous capabilities, whether it's through equipment or what have you, in order for them, as you said, to use Iranian contractors as opposed to having foreign contractors come and extract oil, etc. Now, what's interesting is that this is not what obviously the West wants to hear. And you talked about in the region, there's a country like Saudi Arabia who has said that they're ready to make up for any shortfall in world oil supply, for example. What do you have as a reaction to that? I mean, do they really have the capacity to actually compensate for any shortcomings that perhaps Iran oil might have on the world market at this point?
Speaking of oil consumption capacity in the world, despite the fact that in certain countries there has not been sufficient economic growth, the predictable economic growth, we have the rising trend of